Okay, so we're more than halfway done here. What we've got done so far, the bag is pretty much done. The front here is unfinished, the front flap, but everything else is pretty much done. I've sewn a strap on the back. I had a design problem here where I didn't really figure out the way these top corners were going to be finished. And it was fine functionally, but it just looked a little bit sloppy. So I sewed a strap across the back here to clean that up a little bit. And we're ready to put on the face, the coyote face. Probably the most interesting part of this whole project. What I've done so far is I've sewn the eyes shut, the eye holes shut, just to give it a little bit of a neater appearance. And what I'm getting ready to do now is to start sewing this on and start trimming this front flap. Now I want to pull this down about as far as it's going to go, so I can figure out where I'm going to put the holes for the closure. Then I want to fit the face on here so that it comes down almost but not quite to the bottom of the flap, and that's where I'm going to plan to sew this on. So let's get started with that. Here we're just awling some stitching holes. Because we have to kind of go with the flow with this coyote face, we can't really use a stitching wheel to space it. So I'm just going by eye, trying to keep my stitches pretty much even, pretty much spaced the same. And frankly, it's coming out okay. I'm not too concerned with it. It's most of it's going to be hidden by the fur anyway. I tell you, if you're going to do leather working, you better love stitching. Between the inside seams of this bag and sewing on the coyote face, there is a lot of stitching. You've got the tabs, you've got the the strap, just a whole bunch of stitching, and it takes a long time. So after an awful lot of stitching, we've got the coyote face stitched on. So this is what we've got at this point. The next thing we're going to do is dye the edges here and burnish them. Then we're going to work on the strap, and we're going to do the closure last. Dyeing the leather's not hard. You just use a wool dauber and spread it on. Just careful not to get too much of it on the fur. And then we go to slicking it with the wooden slicker. All you're really trying to do here is kind of burnish the edges, make them slick, keep the loose fibers of the leather kind of bonded together on the edge to make a slick edge. Alright, so this is going to be the strap that goes around the D-ring that's attached to the bag. So actually that's not quite wet enough, so we're going to come back in just a second and we're going to re-wet that. Okay, so now we've got it re-wetted. We're going to be using basically the same type of stitch pattern as we used on the bag. So there's our bend, go about right there. We're going to take a stylus and just mark this out. Okay, so now we've got the barge cement on here, and we got be a little bit careful. First of all, you want to make sure that you put it through the D-ring before you close it up, and second of all, you've got to make sure that you're using the right strap for the right side of the bag and that you're putting it through the right way. So having confirmed that, I'm going to go ahead and put it through. And like before, when this barge cement, when one side contacts the other, it's stuck. So you've got to make sure that you get it positioned correctly from the very beginning. Looking pretty good. Now this cement isn't meant to simply hold this strap forever. It's simply to hold it while we get the stitching in and the rivets in. So we don't have good full coverage, we don't have the cement everywhere underneath this strap overlap, and that's okay. Now that we've got it positioned and fairly solid, we're going to mark our stitch. Where are my glasses? I put a buckle and a keeper on the straps. I didn't bother to show this because it's pretty much just putting on a buckle. The only thing to note is I put it on with Chicago screws so I could take it off if need be. For the closure, I'm going to use a piece of antler. I've drilled it to put a thong through, and I'll show you how I'm going to fasten it to the bag and how the closure is going to work. So let's clear a little bit of space here. Afraid my workspace is getting a little bit cluttered as we close in on the end of this project. So the antler is going to be mounted here under the bottom of the coyote's nose. You can see I've left that open. So I'm going to put this here. And using my stylus, I'm going to mark where these go. That'll do. Okay, so I'm going to tie this off, but I do want a little bit of play in this because the other loop, well, you'll see how it works. But I just know that you need just a little bit, not a lot, of play there. So we're going to tie this off. Alright, well, I've managed to mark up a little bit the front of this, but it's not supposed to look beautiful anyway. So I'm going to make some beads to put on the end of this drawstring, but here's the way it fastens. So you bend this down here. I would give this one twist. Put it over top of the antler and then pull these down. And just the friction of that will hold it shut. You can see it's not going anywhere. And to open it, you just pull on one of these and open. So I'll show you this when it's completely done. I'm not going to finish it tonight because I've got to cut, drill, and polish the beads that'll go on the end of this. But that's essentially, well, that's essentially what the bag is going to look like. With the side gussets and the attachment straps. and then this, and I will show you how it looks on. Not that I'm the perfect model for it. So here's the bag, pretty much finished. Like I said, I've got to put the beads on it, and I've left the laces awfully long so that I can trim them to fit later. I think it looks pretty good. It's certainly the right size. It's going to function well. It's adjustable so I can lengthen the strap for winter clothes. Pretty pleased with it. So if you like this video, please click the like button down below, the thumbs up. And if you want to see more about leatherworking, homesteading, gardening, hunting, bushcraft, please check out our channel on YouTube or check us out at selfsufficientpath.com.